It's go time. Okay, let's call to order the planning board meeting for the town of Mendon for Wednesday, November 20th. The first item on our agenda is to approve the minutes from the November 6th meeting. Does anybody have any comments, any questions on them? Would someone like to make a motion that we accept those minutes as written?
Okay, so
Thank you. Second? Oh, Teresa, all in favor? Aye, any opposed? Any abstain? Any abstain?
Yeah.
There you go, that'd be Danielle. Okay, the one and only item on our agenda for tonight is the cut site plan. So if you guys wanna, you know, the drill, come on.
very good, yeah. Chair, good evening.
You know, one of these days, well, hopefully you'll want it to come back.
That's fine.
For you guys. How you guys doing?
Right.
Good. Okay, the first thing we need to do is open a public hearing regarding this. So I'm going to open a public hearing. And I'm going to say, is there any public that needs to be heard or would like to be? And the only public is shaking his head no. So we will close the public hearing. And then we will, continue on where we left off last, meeting, which was we had some questions about the culvert, the driveway, all of that. So where have we landed with that?
Thank you very much,
Yes.
Shelley from BME. Between this meeting and the last meeting, we've resubmitted the design plans, which included revisions for the driveway culvert, details, culverts for the bedding of the culvert. And I gotta remember, we also included an anti-seep collar for the water surface as well. And then there were also some miscellaneous revisions to the plans, which came up from the town engineer comments. So all of those comments have been addressed on the plans. We also submitted the culvert calculation, the stormwater calculation. So the culvert has been designed to safely pass the 25-year storm, which is required by town code for the drainage watershed that it's in. So basically what will happen during a 25-year storm is the water might pull up about a foot, but it provides a foot and a half from the water surface to the driveway elevation and about a half a foot of culvert, excess culvert capacity in that. So the culvert is sized adequately for the drainage basin it's receiving. Also what we had submitted were additional information for the nationwide permit 14 for the town's information. And actually I do have 3 hard copies of all the submission materials. I don't know if that would go to Brooke directly.
Yep.
So that includes, we included the whole 130-page nationwide permit 14. Also the Buffalo Corps office, where they have special conditions which both address the culvert installation. So we provided that in electronic form. We've reduced that just to the main points that we had pulled out just for the town's file. So drainage calculations have been submitted, support for the proposed culvert installation is submitted. And then also last week we were treated by a visit by the Army Corps on Friday. So
It actually came out?
they did. We had another site and we were able to talk them. Yes, we were.
So,
We were able to talk them in. We had another project. We doubled up and we were able to do that. Great news. The Corps has agreed with our delineation. So the delineation of the wetland on there stays. They will be issuing a jurisdictional determination when they get to it. We did ask, just because we know the town wanted to have that on file, but we will provide that to the town as soon as we receive that.
excellent.
So, we're looking pretty good. I'm happy to answer any additional questions that the board may have.
Okay, does anyone have any questions? Earl, do you have any questions?
Yeah.
Okay, go.
You printed this off of book.
Yes.
State, okay. Yeah, it shows the road surface this way, yet on the plans, you have the drive raised like so.
Yes.
The drive should be like this.
Well, this one's flat. That one's a little bit bowed. That's a quasi-typical detail, but the plans do have the grading going over the culvert, and we have provided spot elevation.
I was there today.
Yep.
It's on my own test. I can push a 3/4 inch rod, more than 2 feet of the ground with palm of my hand.
Mhm.
That's where the culvert would be. 5 feet out, 12 feet out. I'd like to see a detail showing the structure of that soil for their driveway. What I see is the driveway failing on you in a short period of time. I have a little experience. And I don't believe that circular pipe will work. I think if you have some sort of a box concrete culvert in there that's purchased, pre-made, same volume as what you have for pipe, but that is not going to move, whereas that round pipe is going to move. Let's move quite a bit. My opinion, it's always my opinion, I won't vote yes on this application without a change and without showing the lead up to that pipe culvert, whether it's culvert pipe or a pipe. That's where I'm at.
Okay. If I may respond, I think what we could do with this is, with that detail, we'll modify that detail to provide additional notation that the contractors to remove any unsuitable soil until they get to a firm base of subsoil. With that, the backfill of the pipe, it's pretty standard to put the pipe in there. We did give a trench excavation detail on there, so and then the backfill detail, so that would be stone up to the haunches of the pipe.
Will your firm monitor or witness this operation? Who's going to inspect it?
Typically, I believe those are inspected by the building inspector, driveway installations. And we did have a discussion at the last meeting where the town would observe proof rolling. It wasn't the asphalt, but we could extend that down to this area of the culvert. They could review the base course before the final driveway coat is put on.
I'd rather have you inspect it.
We-
I
we
believe
could-
you're more qualified
we could
on
do
the
a review of
earthwork
that,
and the
yes.
roadway than what the town code enforcement, who deals mainly with buildings and building structure.
And just so you know, as it stands, the current proposed draft resolution has this proposed condition in it that we talked about last time, which is applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area to be paved after the completion of grading, but prior to paving, including a proof roll, all to be accepted and approved by the engineer for the town. Do we want to expand that to talk about the area to be paved and the area of the culvert? Is that, can you proof roll that? I don't,
Yes.
You could, I think the real thing would be just when they're excavating to do, schedule a subsurface, inspection, basically. To, if they need to over excavate due to poor soils, that someone qualified is there to say, okay, we've excavated enough, we've hit good soil, bring in the rock. Or bring in the crusher on, or number 3 to number 4s. And that's really the big thing. I mean, the detail, it could have remove unsuitable soils added, but between the storm sewer trench detail and the detail for the culvert, it appears to show that they are to excavate until they hit suitable subsoil and then backfill with, what is it? Number 3 and number 4, crusher run stone. So it's a question of, or if there's a subsurface inspection and someone from the town verifying that the contractor has hit that appropriate subgrade or not.
okay, so how about this? Applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area to be paved. And at the driveway area in and at the culvert after completion of grading, but prior to paving, all to be acceptable and approved by the engineer for the town. In addition, a proof roll shall be completed in the area to be paved.
Yeah.
I mean, there's more there. I'm just kind of.
Yeah. But basically, before they seal it all up, make sure that the subgrade that they've sat it on is appropriate. And once they, if you go deep enough, anything becomes suitable.
Yeah, that's what I have now. So I have, in addition, a proof roll test shall be completed in the driveway area to be paved. Such proof roll test shall be performed using a tandem axle rear dump truck loaded. Talks about 20 pounds, 2 passes, a half inch is the standard. It should be witnessed by the town's designated representative. And acceptable by, you want to say unacceptable by the engineer for the town?
Yeah, when I sent that to you, I left it kind of open-ended. I don't know if Corey would want to do that, or if you'd want me to come witness the proof roll. Determine a later date if you want, or.
Well, it's up to this board, what kind of condition you want to put on there.
Okay, I'm always want to speak first. I'm learning. What do you think, Teresa?
I think that if the engineer, if you would come out and be there, I think that would make a lot of sense.
That was where I was going to go with that. So what about you, Charlie? What do you think?
I would agree.
You would agree? Agree that our engineer
Yep.
is out there in conjunction with their engineer? You okay with that?
I'm okay with that.
You know, and I know, I mean, I feel like we are going around and around and around, but you know what? Earl has a ton of experience in all of this, and I know he's just looking at you guys, knowing what's gonna happen. As soon as you get your house up, you want everything to be perfect, and you don't need a huge something happening year 1 or year 2.
You don't want to put everything in it and not get across the wet area. That's what I see happening.
And so he's just concerned. I mean, obviously, you know, once you're approved, you know, you're approved, but he just wants to be sure that you're aware.
Want to be sure that you're not at a mercy of a contractor, but he has a set of drawings that are applicable to what you have, and then it's gonna work.
Right, so then you have recourse if something fails. Okay. Anyway, what do you have anything that you would like to add? You want to just give a quick review of your correspondence and,
Yeah, so I wrote 2 letters to the planning board. One of them just I sent earlier today. The first was essentially stating that I reviewed the plans and that they had added the culvert details and other appropriate details as we had discussed at last planning board meeting, and they appear to be appropriate for the project. The other was in relation specifically to the EPOD number 3 permit. I basically went line by line, and it's my view that the project meets the standards and requirements outlined in the code for EPOD number 3 to issue a permit. So I don't see an engineering or anything in the drawings or engineering that does not meet those standards.
okay? So we can go ahead and issue an EPOD permit for that. Yep, okay, if we want to, I know, you're recommending that.
I don't make the
I
decision.
know, I know. And neither do I, guess what, neither do I.
When are you looking to start?
Oh,
This fall?
yesterday.
Yeah, a couple months ago would be ideal.
Of course.
At this point, we have to wait for the ground to, well, not the ground, but like temperatures to be a little bit more stable for cement pouring of foundation. So it's not gonna be until spring, no matter what.
My point in, make sure your driveway's in and adequate before you start on the house, you buy all your materials for the house, you want to be sure that you're not across this area. See,
Yeah, I have to put that through to get heavy machinery and all the material loads in there anyway, so that's the first thing that we go on.
Okay. Anybody have anything else that they would like to add, any concerns before we, place this to a vote? Don, would you mind just briefly going over the resolution one more time with some of the
Sure.
conditions, just so that we're all aware of?
Yeah, I know you guys all love to hear me talk.
We do.
So the resolution is entitled Resolution for Approval of Site Plan Application for Property at or about Stony Ridge Drive. And there's a tax map number. There's a bunch of recitations, whereases. The first resolve relates to EPOD 3, a water course EPOD permit, and would issue the EPOD permit in compliance with standards and requirements as discussed by the engineer just then. Including given the fact that only the driveway is within the E-Pod. Is that true? Only the driveways in the E-Pod
That's
buffer?
true.
Yeah. And given that there don't appear to be any alternatives for access, right? Feasible. I'm just changing this on the fly. So there's that. Then there's the issuance of E-Pod permit 9 for soils. I don't know if there needs to be any discussion on that, but there are standards for that as well. Then there's in there, I think that might be something worth talking about. I don't know how far it infringes on the soils E-Pod, but this resolution would grant the E-Pod permit for the soils area as well. And would find that there's compliance with the standards and requirements. Let me just pull that up for you real quick.
You want me to speak for that briefly? Because I did
That'd be great.
look through that briefly. So
Yeah.
It's my understanding that E-Pod number 9, I don't have it right in front of me, but it's essentially that areas within the town that stormwater drainage or runoff won't be altered in a unreasonable fashion or in a damaging fashion to existing habitat. Because E-Pod number 9 is areas that are soil susceptible to ponding, so areas that might be more susceptible to damage or issues from runoff. With this project, there's not a significant amount of additional or new impervious. There's the driveway and then the houses, but relative to the size of the lot and the area of the E-Pod, I don't see it as causing major changes to runoff and it doesn't really change the direction of the runoff as well. So runoff patterns, storm drainage patterns will really remain in the same condition. And that E-Pod permit doesn't have the same bullet pointed requirements as number 3 does. It's a little more open-ended that
Yeah,
as long as it's not seen to be causing undue changes or issues with stormwater runoff, which I don't see it causing.
yeah, it speaks to that it won't have, it says that you should consider the impact on public health, safety, and welfare. Consider protection, enhancement of natural drainage patterns within the drainage divide, and impact on sites located downstream of the site being developed. So.
Yeah, I don't see it as having, I reviewed the culvert calculations which relate to that. I don't see it affecting current existing drainage patterns or downstream or upstream drainage patterns off the property as well. The culvert's gonna allow water to flow in pretty much its natural state now.
Thanks, Emilio. So the first resolve deals with E-Pod 3 based on basically what our engineer just told us previously. The next resolve deals with E-Pod 9 based on what we just heard. And then the next resolve would grant approval subject to the following conditions. Prior to issuance of a building permit, applicant's going to provide the jurisdictional determination by the Army Corps of Engineers, confirming the delineation and providing an individual permit is not required. And instead that the proposal is covered by the nationwide permit, all to the satisfaction of the engineer for the town. That's condition 1. Any objections to that? Anybody? Okay. Condition 2 is applicant shall coordinate. You just heard this, but I'll just read it in full. Applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area to be paved and the driveway area in and at the culvert after completion of grading, but prior to paving, all to be acceptable and approved by the engineer for the town. In addition, a proof roll shall be completed in the driveway area to be paved. Such proof roll test shall be performed using a tandem axle rear dump truck loaded to a minimum gross weight of 20 tons. Test shall consist of at least 2 passes along the driveway in the direction of travel. The maximum subgrade deflection of a passing test shall be a ½ inch with no, it's a ½ inch, right?
Yep.
With no pumping or cracking of the subgrade or surrounding grade, said test shall be witnessed by the town's designated representative and acceptable to the engineer for the town. That any outstanding comments of the engineer for the planning board, including per the letter dated October 8th, shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the town building inspector. And any outstanding comments of the town building inspector or fire marshal, including per the letter dated September 5th, shall be addressed to the satisfaction of the town building inspector. And then there's a condition that talks about when those conditions are supposed to be satisfied. I do know, wasn't there another, actually, I don't think there was another letter. There's an email from the building inspector. Yeah. So that's how it's written. I think the only thing that's left out there is there any changes that needs to be made given what Mr. Giroux just mentioned and what's described in Mr. Gates's letter or email.
I do have one question. The proof roll test is going to be witnessed by a town's designated representative. So do we want that to be Emilio there also? I mean.
Sure.
Out that way.
I mean,
Huh?
If you want to call it out that way now, it's fine.
Yeah, that might be a good idea, just because we'll be sure. And who does the test? You know, like how that test is performed?
Typically, we would coordinate with when the contractor's on site with an appropriate dump truck loaded up.
Oh, okay, so it's kind of you
Top it
and
off.
the contractor.
Yeah, so really the contractor, homeowner, or engineer, when they're getting to that point, call me and keep me updated and let me know when.
Okay,
you guys
so this is
have
pretty
the-
standard, like,
Yep.
so everybody knows what they're
We do
doing.
these lots, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, if we just call out that,
Yeah.
the town, engineer will be coordinating that.
I've made that change. Do we want to just limit the comments of the building inspector so as not to bring in this idea of the culvert to his September 5th letter and not include the email? Because if we include the email, it kind of begs the question of what are we requiring? I think we ought to just
Just move forward. from
specify.
there.
I think you need to think about that issue and then just decide directly whether instead of referring to the email, just decide what you want to do in that regard.
Okay.
And instead just refer to the original letter of him, which is,
I did read Corey's email, but do you have I don't think that I printed it. Do you?
I got it right here. Yeah, it's this bottom paragraph. So is it, shall I change the building inspector comment to say that any outstanding comments of the building inspector, fire marshal from the letter dated September 5th shall be addressed?
Yeah,
Okay, and then we'll decide on what to do about that, because I think he kind of left it
kind of open ended.
to the board, yeah.
So I guess what Corey's, one of his concerns is that, and this is his opinion, so then open bottom culvert, or box culvert is the better choice for this particular situation, given the absence of good load-bearing soils needed to support the proposed closed bottom culvert. Now, that's what Earl was saying. So is that something that we should be concerned about, or does that create? Okay, I don't know,
If he was to put number 3, the Gabions through the whole area, then put a culvert on top of it, it's going to support it. But if you put nothing under the pipe or the culvert, it will not stay there, it'll move by you, and you're going to have problems in the future.
Right, so if we trench down the good soil, then just put our crusher.
Right, if the soil is fine, and you're going to excavate it, that's all fine.
okay, so that was Corey's opinion. And
Is that staying with a round culvert pipe?
Right again?
is that staying with the round culvert pipe?
Yes, the same as any pipe you put in there. The culvert pipe is more stable to begin with than a round pipe.
So as it stands, the that specific portion is not in this resolution, but what is in the resolution, it says that applicant shall coordinate a subsurface inspection of the driveway area to be paved in the driveway area in and at the culvert after completion of grading, but prior to paving, all to be acceptable and approved by the engineer for the town. So that's what it says now in that regard. I don't know if we need anything more or not. It's up to the board in consultation with the engineer to decide.
Would it, any opinions? Comments? No? Oh, Teresa, you got something to say?
Well, he's just offering his opinion.
He is just offering his opinion.
But you've proven that what you've got is acceptable. I mean,
Yes, and what I could add to that is that it will be, the approval role will be observed. If it fails, then
Right.
something else will need to be done. You know, and then that's how you would address it at that point. But this, I mean, this is it's a pretty standard practice to, you know, with circular or open or whatever, but.
The
circular
contractor will
is-
know right away. whether-
Yes, yeah, and they'll know right away whether or not they're gonna be coming back in 2 years because they put in a bad pipe.
I think we've got it covered with what we've written, you know, based on what Earl mentioned and the inspection. To me, I think it's covered.
I think Emilio's covered it all too. Anything else to add?
No, I
Emilio?
mean, ultimately, regardless of the type of culvert you put in, if you put it on mush soils, it's gonna move. If you, any type of culvert you put in, if you dig down appropriately, put in the appropriate stone, it'll sit and it'll be structurally sound. So regardless, it's not necessarily about the type of culvert, it's about the subgrade preparation.
Okay.
And you will know that when you get there.
Yeah.
So with all that said, I think we might be able to move forward. If anybody has any other questions, what do they say, sit now or forever hold your peace?
I have one more.
Oh, of course.
If they decide that you don't want a round pipe in there and you want a culvert, does he need to come back to the planning board for that design change, or can we handle it in-house for the building inspector?
It depends on what's on the site plan. I don't know what the site plan shows. I mean,
Like
you're-
mine shows just a round pipe.
In some cases in other projects, if I might offer, if there's a change to the design, then the applicant or the developer can offer a notice of field change request.
Right.
And then that typically goes to the building inspector, town engineer, and then they'll do a review. Something like this is something that we see it a lot. It's done administratively.
I think it just should be under here that it was discussed, so if you do want to change it, you can.
Okay, thank you.
I don't know offhand if there are any provisions for field changes in the code or design standards. I'm not aware of any offhand, but that doesn't mean they're not there.
Should that be part of our conditions then, is to just indicate that if there's going to be a change in that pipe, that the town be notified?
Well, I think that's gonna happen regardless, because the building inspector is gonna be there looking at it. I think the question is, do you wanna specifically come out and say if there's a change to the pipe, come back before the planning board?
No, I mean, I don't know.
No.
Oh. I just want to make sure that, you know, again, probably just trying to protect the homeowners in the future, moving forward. You know, if they upgrade to a better, more stable pipe, they want that noted also.
Yeah, as far as I'm concerned, the site plan speaks for itself, and that's what's being applied for, and that's what the building inspector looks to when he's doing the project, and so that to me is what's expected of the
Okay.
planning board attorney. Again, whether there's any process or provisions relating to,
So
Field
possibly
changes,
you
I
could
don't-
Have another
I don't know.
boilerplate on here showing a different pipe. Goes back culvert, either or. That's to be determined by town engineer.
Or if there is an actual change during construction, you can issue a revision sketch and just have that be included with, have a note that says this shall be included in lieu of whatever. To revise the drawing set dated, blah, blah, blah. You know, just, you can issue a sketch that's done all the time, I think, where if there's a change in the field and you would want to have a record of that on in the town.
Mhm.
To just do a revision sketch.
Again, this is not a procedure that I'm prepared to discuss because I'm not aware of it, so.
It's customary for construction, I think, that's what happens, because we would want to have a record of any changes like that. For permitting, during the permitting process.
So, but you said that's not called out in the code? If
I
it's
don't
not, I
know
don't
it
want to make it part of the condition, I just want to make it part of just what everybody kind of knows and.
Yeah,
agrees on.
I'm not aware of it offhand. I could,
Okay, that's okay.
yeah.
All right,
Something changes, we'll send it to you.
thank you.
Like an as-built provision, not specifically that.
Field change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Would someone like to make a motion that we approve, the Conklin site plan as presented with the, determination that, Don drafted as written? There's a motion,
And so
really? Anybody would like to second it? I'll second. Teresa, okay, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstain? You're gonna abstain?
I don't have a choice, right?
No, I said you could.
Oh,
I think you probably have a choice if you feel like you have enough information, but if you don't, I don't think there's a problem. You've got 4 votes anyways.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I'm gonna abstain.
Okay. So one abstain. All the rest approve.
Thank you very much. And,
Good time.
just one point, you did offer public comment, but I think, we closed the public hearing last week,
Yeah.
so we don't need to reclose it tonight,
Oh,
right?
well, I did, but
Yeah.
cause I didn't know it. was
Yep,
on
no,
my-
that's
It was on my
fine.
minutes
Just-
and
just wanted to
I'm
make
either
sure we're-
opening too many public hearings or not opening
Yep.
enough public hearings. So, anyway,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much.
Good evening. Watch out for the deer.
Good luck, guys.
Thank you.
Okay, from there, we'll move on to, public comment. Mr. Public, do you have any public things that you'd like to say to us? And we will move on to general discussion. Is anybody, have anything that they would like to generally discuss? Earl? Anything? You want to discuss anything?
Really?
Oh, Brent does.
So the planning board is aware there was a motion Monday night for a public hearing for a code revision dealing with accessory structures in front of the primary structure.
Nice.
our favorite.
The public hearing is coming up on December 9th. I encourage you to look over the proposed local law. If it is drafted now, Don, taken, it would change from being a site plan to an area variance.
Yeah, basically it removes the permission. It removes the, now it says if you want to do it, come and get a site plan review. That's gonna come out of the code, so it's not, essentially not gonna be allowed. If
Right.
you want to go do it, then you'd have to go get it.
You have to get a variance.
Yeah.
Then do you have to come to the site or to the planning board after you receive your variance?
I don't recall what the limitations are for
It's
site plans
not
offhand.
mandatory. I think the ZBA could have that option.
It's a good question, though.
So it's not written that way. They would have. Because as we discussed, I recall the ZBA.
Did you forward that on to planning board
site
members or
plan
not yet?
capabilities.
Did Lauren receive copy of the local law that you guys are proposing or no? If not, I can forward it on to them
Okay.
tomorrow.
Change.
Yeah,
Thank goodness. What's the ZBA deal with that?
so we are looking at intake and procedure as a general matter as well.
Yes.
I'll look at whether the site plan code specifies, I think it may say accessory structures aren't generally subject to site plan, but I just don't know offhand.
No, they're not generally subject to site plans. It's only for the ones in front of the primary structure.
Yeah.
Which as currently says they are not allowed unless.
Yeah, yeah. So I think the board was looking for that change, so.
Yeah.
It's going out.
Another general discussion? Charlie, you going for ice cream?
I may go buy some ice cream. Is this, would this be retroactive to,
It wouldn't be retroactive. We deal with any application moving forward.
I was thinking about Smith Road.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, goodness. Okay, so our upcoming meetings are, I think we've been provided with our, well, December 18th, Aqua Strong is going to come back. They still have a few things that they need to bring forward, but I think that they're on the right path.
Yep.
I don't think we're gonna be in need of anything else. And if we are, they'll just have to come back again after that. So, so I think they'll be good. Next meeting is, Mitten, and that is, a subdivision and 2 or 3 site plans. Do you remember?
3-lot subdivision, 2 site plans.
Okay, all right, and so we'll take a look at that, so get a good night's sleep the night before on that one. And, I don't know, does anybody have anything else? If not, we can ask for a motion to adjourn this meeting.
Can I ask on the mitten,
Yes.
are there any EPODs involved, do we know, and has that been circulated and responded to?
Corey will have response by, I just received response by the county today.
Good.
So I will circulate that, and then Corey is gonna have his comments by Friday, so it's just gonna circulate all comments at once when I receive them.
And do we know if there's EPODs impacted? Seems like there always is, but maybe there
I
isn't.
think they're present. I don't think they're being constructed within or near. I think they're on the backside of the property. There's a timber one maybe on the backside of the property, if I recall correct.
Okay, yeah, just check and make sure if there is a referral needed to the ECB that's done. And then, yeah, we'll have to look at the comments.
It is on that, they are planning to go walk the site, so
Okay,
that's
so
already
they-
on their agenda.
they're
Yep,
looking
they're
at
gonna go
ECB.
plan, yep, they're gonna go walk this.
Nice job.
Good, thanks.
Okay. Motion to adjourn the meeting?
Yes,
Oh,
good first motion.
Charlie, all in favor? Aye.
All
Any
right.
opposed? Me, I oppose. Okay, I'm outvoted.
Motion carries.
Great.
I'm gonna send you the